I spend time listening to the daily press conferences so that you don't have to. And by gosh, you don't want to. There is a particular reporter today that really got me pretty perturbed. Why? Because again, their short-sightedness and inability to understand that we have lost a war, but not only have we lost a war, that exiting a war, as Lawrence Donald and O'Donnell and many other generals have said, it's not a pretty thing. And exiting that war that you don't want to stay into to fight means that a lot of things are not going to be as you expect. And to believe that somehow you, as the loser, can decide to orderly exit a war that you don't want to invest in winning is ludicrous. I want you to listen to this guy, and then we'll take it on the other side.
You send tens of thousands of more troops in Afghanistan to potentially lose their lives. That's an option. Some support that. That's their prerogative. You pull out and you don't put anyone at risk, you don't put troops at risk, and you don't evacuate more than 105,000 people. That's another option. The option that he has chosen, in coordination and based on the recommendations with his military commanders and advisors on the ground, is to implement of an evacuation that has saved the lives potentially of more than 105,000 people, certainly at risk of the men and women who are serving in the military, as we saw by the events of yesterday. That's the choice he's made.
That repeatedly presented this idea that there were only two choices. What evidence do you have that there weren't other choices that could have been made? I mean,
what's the other choice anyone is offering?
For example, the president could have said to the Afghani government in May, look, we're going to start a mass evacuation of all of the U.S. personnel. We're going to put out an announcement that says, we advise all of our Afghan allies who worked with us to start evacuating as well. It would have been a show of no confidence in the Afghani government. There might have been other repercussions. I'm not suggesting that's the right way to have gone. I don't know, but it is another option, and I'm sure there's 10 other options that I haven't thought of. So why do you present it as these being the only two options?
There are, of course, other options, but there are consequences to every option. That is my point. So let's take your example. If we had evacuated and moved in C-17s, 6,000 troops, I think that's what you're suggesting, and implemented this evacuation in May, you know what would have happened in all likelihood? The threat on U.S. forces would have increased at that point in time. ISIS-K.
You would have been operating in a capital that wasn't overrun by the Taliban.
How do you know that?
Well, the Taliban wasn't near Kabul at that point.
Look, Mike, I think it's easy to play backseat. Let's look at what could have happened 3 months, 4 months ago. I think we've been clear on a couple of things, I will just say. No one anticipated, I think including on the outside, that the Afghan government would have fallen at the pace they fell. And the president and members of our national security team have spoken to that as well. We didn't anticipate the Afghan national security forces would have folded as they did. We didn't anticipate that. And as a result of that all happening, we saw a chaotic situation just 2 weeks ago. So you can always, my point in the response to the question is that there are consequences to any of these difficult choices and decisions. That is what faces you as commander-in-chief, and that was the larger point I was trying to make.
You know, what is so sad is when Donald Trump, the bully-in-chief, the dummy-in-chief, the less than intellectual-in-chief was president, these so-called reporters were so timid in asking the appropriate questions. They were so timid in allowing him to do the things that he did to Americans. They allowed him to get away with the stupidity that this guy represented. Oh, they weren't tough then. Now they're trying to be tough on someone providing solutions. And not only are they trying to be tough, but they're trying to create different events, different things that could have been done. Okay, what would have been done, sir? And he comes up with a silly question and said, well, this could have been done. I don't know if it'll work, but I mean, you could have tried that. So why try yours and not the ones that we're doing? Again, we have the most inept media in this particular White House that continuously ask all the wrong questions. There are questions to ask that Jen Psaki. There are real questions to ask. Why isn't Biden doing X, Y, and Z? Do that, but make it be worthwhile. Let's do it the right way. Not ask silly questions. Not ask, you're actually talking to the Taliban. Don't it seem strange that you're talking to the Taliban? Was another question somebody else asked. Stop it. Ask sensible, pertinent questions that illustrate you are a critical thinker, what those of us expect of you in the fourth estate. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.